Hello everyone, back for another concert recap video. So in the previous video I talked about seeing in July 2023 Godsmack and Stained. That was pretty fun, but earlier in 2022 it was announced that Foo Fighters was coming to my city. And it wasn't just like, oh, I have to go somewhere else. No, they were coming to my city. And this is one of the most important concerts I've ever been to. Foo Fighters has been, up to that point, had been number one on my bucket list to see live. I had seen videos, I had heard, stories, and, after, unfortunately, the loss of Taylor Hawkins, I didn't think I'd even get a chance to see them live. And this show was everything I wanted and more. And it's probably my favorite concert I've ever been to. I wish Taylor Hawkins would have been there, but he was there in spirit, and it was absolutely wonderful. Now, the opener was The Breeders. I had never heard of them necessarily before I had seen them, before this concert, really. And it was really great. Foo Fighters ended up playing 22 songs. I do have the set list over here, so apologize if I'm kind of looking in and turning here. But, so the Breeders played 13 songs and the Foo Fighters played 22. They actually went over our curfew time. We actually have a curfew in my city, a sound curfew, so they went a little bit over, but it was absolutely worth it. These are the only two Foo Fighters albums that I have, but on vinyl. I have Color and the Shape on CD, and I also have Wasting Light on CD. But this is just a band that's been semi off and on constant in my life. I've been fortunate enough to have seen Soundgarden with 9 Inch Nails and the Doja Escape Plan. That was on there. I have seen Alice in Chains. I've been privileged to see Pearl Jam, and Foo Fighters basically was the last on my Seattle or really big, bucket list to see. And like I said, they played a really good mix of songs, and I was singing my heart out the entire night. A little bit further back this time around when it came to where I was seated, but it's actually the same area I got to see Soundgarden in, and it was just absolutely wonderful the entire night. And Dave played to the crowd, and just thinking back, there's one of the artists I'm going to be talking about in one of these videos that I waited just as long to see. But this is honestly my favorite concert I've been to. The sound quality was there, the mixing was there, the banter for the crowd was there, and going off of that, there was a lot of really, really fun moments that are burned into my brain for this one. I've waited 15 years up to that point to be able to even get a chance to go see Foo Fighters. People could have said, hey, you could have traveled, this and that. Well, I've only traveled to go to 2 concerts, and both were in Baltimore. And that wasn't necessarily the best area to have gone to. And it left a bad taste in my mouth when it came to traveling for shows. I don't necessarily travel for shows. I'm really weird like that, but I'm glad I was able to go and see that. If I'm able to get this editing right, you'll see photos from the show here on screen. I also did grab the poster for my show. I did show that off in my tour video, but if I'm able to get the photos working, you'll see it on screen. Let me go over the songs that both bands have played. So, the Breeders played Saints, Wait in the Car, Invisible Man, Hag, No Aloha, Walking with a Killer, Driving on 9. That is a cover of Ed's Redeeming Qualities. Jeez, I need to make this bigger. Divine Hammer, When I Was a Painter, Iris, New Year, Cannonball, and they ended with a cover of Gigantic, which is a song by the Pixies. So that was fun to see them and kind of expand my musical horizons a little bit. when it came to that. And, you know, if Godsmack was firing on almost all cylinders, Foo Fighters fired even more cylinders. This was basically a dream set list for me to be able to see. There was maybe like one or two songs I would have liked to have maybe seen, but this was a dream set list for me. So they opened with All My Life, and I was singing my heart out, and then of course they did The Pretender after that, and it says, so they added a little snippet of Ain't Talking About Love. Then they busted straight into Learn to Fly. And if you would have told, teenage me that you're going to get to finally see this song live, I would have said you're crazy. Like, I never thought I'd be able to see Foo Fighters, and that was a dream come true for me to hear that song. No Son of Mine was after that. And they do say, so they did play Paranoid and Enter Sandman a little bit in there. Now, I had decided not to listen to their new album. I had heard the lead single from their latest album, but I had decided to wait until I went to this concert because I knew they were going to play songs from this. And I'm glad that I waited to hear those songs live, because there's a moment later on that hit really, really close to home for me and really made those songs extra special, that I got to hear those live before I decided to take the plunge and listen to their latest album fully. I need to get that eventually on vinyl. There's a lot of stuff I need to get on vinyl, but this is an expensive hobby. But anyway. So they played Rescued, and then this is how cool this really is for me, because they played my favorite song, the 6th in the set list, and I would have been fine if they ended it with that, but they didn't. And after hearing my favorite song, they added extra to it, and that's what was really special. So they played Walk. Walk is my favorite Foo Fighters song, and not only that, it proved to me that the intro to that I've always loved, but I've always repeated it kind of like, okay, what does this sound like live? Because I don't necessarily watch live videos. I'm a little weird like that, but when I watched, when I finally heard it, I'm like, yes, they added extra bars to the beginning of that. And it validated in my head, this is the way that this song should be. And it was absolutely beautiful. I cried. Like, that Walk is one of my overall favorite songs, along with Voodoo, like I said in the previous concert video. But just to hear that, it was absolutely wonderful. They played Times Like These, so they kind of started off a little slow and then built everybody back in. They played Generator, followed by La Di Da, Breakout, and then they did basically kind of like a little, not necessarily band intro, but they kind of just were like, okay, here's some, actually really was the band intro, so it's like they played some guitar solo. What was really funny is all tour, they were trying to play Sabotage by the Beastie Boys, and Dave said, we've been trying to play this full song, the whole time, and they went to the first verse into the chorus and stopped. He's like, well, this is the farthest we've gone on tour. It was really fun. Dave just playing to the crowd. Of course, he's from DC, Virginia, so this was really almost like a home show. It was really, really fun. Along with that, they did a keyboard solo, played some Blitzkrieg Bop, Whip It, and March of the Pigs. So that was really kind of a callback to me seeing Nine Inch Nails. It was kind of like a full circle moment, which was really nice. Then, My Hero comes along, and that was gut-wrenching just because of my connection to Taylor Hawkins and the whole of the band and everything. But it started out just very simple and then moved into the whole band coming in. They went into This Is a Call next, along with The Sky's a Neighborhood, and then one of my favorites, and I'm not necessarily sure the off and on Shame from Medicine at Midnight, which is trying to point correctly, that one right there. So that was really fun to hear. They played The Glass from their new album. Really fun to hear that. These Days, which is from here, so we had Walk, and These Days from that as well. Thought they would have played Alandria. They did not, which was completely fine. You know, I still had a lot of fun with that. These Days, I've come around to. I've not necessarily liked it all that much, but it's only recent years that I've kind of really started to enjoy that album. And that, well, not that album, that song. Foo Fighters' Wasting Light is one of my favorite albums of all time. And then they played Aurora specifically for Taylor Hawkins, and I lost it there again. That was a beautiful, beautiful tribute. And just, you know, everybody was just kind of grooving along. There was really good vibe from the crowd for that. They played Monkey Wrench, which, if you don't know, the band has a pretty little bit of a fun spin on Monkey Wrench. I would say go watch some of their live videos, but you really need to see Monkey Wrench live. They add a lot of flair to it. It's really fun. So they did a rock and roll snippet on there. I'm using Setlist.fm. Then they played The Best of You, and they left, and then they came back for the encore, and they played The Teacher, which right now is taking barely second place when it comes to Foo Fighters songs, because that one was dedicated to Dave's mom, Virginia, who had passed away recently at that time. And my mom is really close for me. My mom is my family. And to get a little emotional here, but to hear that song and the pain with it, I lost my dad when I was a young age, and you know, knowing the loss of a parent is something that you can't get until it happens. And them playing that, I am glad that I decided to hear that live first, because every listen to that song that I've had now is much more emotionally weighted. Not saying that the studio album would have not held that weight for that time, but it was much more weighted heavily, and the emotions were just heavier there, and it was wonderful. And then of course they end every show with Everlong, and that was just a giant sing-along. And I'm like, okay, are they going to end on, you know, The Teacher, just because that's a really long song. Like, okay, you're getting up to the point where we're getting to the point where we have to stop playing because of the curfew, and we start with Everlong basically as the curfew ends. So, well, not curfew, the sound ordinance, but yeah, that show was a once-in-a-lifetime show for me. I probably am going to be able to see Foo Fighters again. You know, you never say never with things, but this was a long time coming, and it was well worth the wait. So I'm very glad that I got to see them, and I'm glad that I was able to get a T-shirt for to set the occasion. I try not to buy too much merch at shows, but this was just too special to have passed up. Thank you so much for checking this video out. I have one more concert to go over. Probably should have saved this one for the last of the sessions, but I just decided to release this one second, mainly because it was in the same year. But there's one other one that has pretty much almost the same emotional weight as this, but I actually waited about the same. So you'll hear about that when that time comes. But again, thank you for watching. Let me know down in the comments if you've been listening to anything fun, or if you've been to any fun concerts this year. I'd love to hear from you. As I say at the end of everything that I'm in, when the waters get rough, please keep on sailing. And hope you have a wonderful day, evening, whatever time you're watching this. Take care.